Welcome, Webby and O'Neill channel, 2020-21 season preview. With us today, my mate Laurie, distinguished, well-versed, well-respected journalist. Talks to Ollie, by the way, on a regular basis and has asked him loads of questions. But Laurie doesn't tell us anything, right? Just because he's my mate, we don't get inside information. Not yet anyway. Laurie, welcome.
Thank you, Tony.
Right, now, we've got the season preview. You've got a big build up there, so don't let us down.
Yeah.
You're the main man, well respected. And here's another well respected man, Webby.
Yeah, good afternoon. Pleasure to meet you, Laurie. Massive game starting the weekend. You know, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's only been a short time, but for me, this feels different now to what it did pre-lockdown. I don't know why, because we're going to have no crowds in, but we're all starting on a level par. What do you think?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's a real shame that they haven't been able to move on the fact that they can have fans in stadiums more. Obviously, the government announcement seems to have put that back a little bit. But clearly, United want to get fans back in to Old Trafford. That's what all the clubs are looking for. The Premier League are putting pressure on the government to try and see if they can get a situation where they can allow, you know, at least a few thousand fans into stadiums, which is what everyone, I think, would want.
Again, before I left for work this morning, as I got home from work, Sancho, again, what's your take on it?
This week, a bit more positive. I think the fact that it's been dragging on since the end of the season. Solskjaer, I'm told, wanted the deal done as soon as Champions League qualification was secured, because then United knew the finances involved. And it's been an ongoing process through intermediaries, which is how Borussia Dortmund have wanted to do the negotiations. But more recently, they have come to an agreement pretty much, it seems, on agent fees and wages. Now it's about really sorting a transfer fee out. Dortmund are saying they want 120 million euros guaranteed. Manchester United are saying that they won't overpay. And I interpret that as saying that they will only get to that fee if they include add-ons. So, you know, performance related.
Well, me and Tony's been speaking about it for months now, and it's come to the point where...
This Sancho deal, no one's actually sat round a table, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's all I needed to know.
Right, well, let's go on about that. We could still be in 4 years' time with Sancho.
That's right.
Right, let's go on. We've got the first topic. It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's second full season. What are you expecting from next season on the pitch from the word go?
Well, it does depend on who they get in, but I'll be very brief. You know, if they get Sancho, it's a bit of a game changer, isn't it? You know, the side.
We've not got you here to be brief, Lonnie.
We've sorted Sancho, Tony.
Right.
Let's park Sancho.
Right, okay.
They've got back.
We want you here. These need you here to understand what does go on.
Well, that's what I try, and I'll say you can. You know, if you want full in-depth stuff, you can go to The Athletic, which is who I work for. I'm going to plug it. That's a nice little...
Right, you plugged it. You plugged it.
Get on this man, The Athletic.
It's on The Athletic. We didn't want to say it, but there you go. He's got it in now. When he gets in the lift, we're battering. Right.
Lovely, right.
Sancho as long as you want.
That's the Sancho, potentially. You know, Van der Beek, I think, is a really smart signing. I think he will add that quality and depth that Solskjaer wants. You look at the way that he didn't really make any substitutions in the semi-final against Sevilla. I think he just at a stroke instantly elevates that. You know,
who's he coming for? Where does he play?
Well, see, this is the thing. You speak to people that were close to that deal. Solskjaer spoke to Van der Beek and at length sort of spoke to him where he might fit in. He left that conversation thinking, I'm excited about this. He could theoretically play with Pogba and Bruno. I'm more inclined to think that actually he'll be in rotation with Pogba and Bruno. You've got a Matic, you've got a McTominay, you've got a Fred there as a more kind of defence-minded player. Van der Beek can play that role, but he's more, you know, offensive. He gets forward, yeah.
You just mentioned Seville there. I'm concerned going forward, right, with the thinking inside the club, where you might be able to educate us on this, right? These substitutes, what are made, and Seville is a classic example of, well, Ollie's getting this right, getting that right, getting that right. But from a fan's point of view, he didn't get them right. Since we started in the lockdown, we got back up playing football. It was attractive to watch. We was all waiting for it and that. And then suddenly this moment came where we was all on the TV watching it. And it's like, well, here, Ollie, make the changes.
Yeah.
You're closer to Ollie. What's being said? Why weren't them changes made?
I believe he doesn't feel like he's got the requisite quality and depth at the moment to make changes that are going to improve the side. So he's got his team there, and he's got Greenwood, Rashford and Martial, and albeit they are fatigued in that match, but they're a strike force that have scored 60 plus goals this season, and he thinks that they're his best bet to getting a goal in that game. Personally, I suppose it's personal opinion. Could he have put Ighalo on, changed it up a little bit? Who'd you take him off for at that point? I think it's a fair criticism, the lack of substitutions in that game as it went on. But I do understand where Ole's coming from in the fact that he doesn't feel like he's got enough quality to go, right, well, now he's got potentially Van der Beek on the bench, so actually let's put him on. I think that's not doing a disservice to the players on the bench. It's just in that particular game where he needed a goal, it was a different situation, and he doesn't feel like he's got the firepower, which is why they're after Sancho.
Well, everyone knows the squad isn't strong enough, right, to take us further up.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's highlighted from within the club, from Ole himself and all that, everybody out there, and let me know what you think, everybody out there will be saying, well, even the manager knows it's not strong enough. Well, that puts more pressure on us getting players. Surely, right, Ole should be screaming from the top of his voice, which he probably is.
He'll probably do it just diplomatically. He's not going to come out in public and say,
no,
I want this, I want that.
No,
but I do think I do feel like he puts pressure on in private.
Right, so, well, he would do, he's the manager, yeah, I get that, right? So if we don't go sign anybody, right, everybody out there, every United fan, knows exactly whose fault it is, and it ain't Ole's. So Ole will have to work with the tools he's got. The season 2021, if we get anywhere, we get somewhere. And if we don't get anywhere, that ain't Ole's fault. Ole will do the best he can with what he's got. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's already made the statement, Annie, about what you just said there, Tony. And let's have it right, we'll be 33 points behind Liverpool, 15 behind City. If we want to close that gap, we need 3 or 4 players. And we need to improve our game, win those games with drawing or maybe losing.
What we're doing here with Laurie, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, Tony, if they don't back him...
No, it's clear.
If they don't back him...
Oh, you don't have to go...
We will... I honestly
you don't have to go down the other route.
I honestly think, personally, if we do not back the manager with another 2 or 3 signings at least, we will struggle for top 4.
No, that's right.
That's
what
I think.
What I'm doing to everyone here is making it clear. Ole will do the best he can with the tools he's got if we don't bring in more players. We need to bring in more players. We're all United fans here. We know that. Ole knows that. Webby, move on.
Move on, right. So if he was playing at 3 o'clock today with nobody else signed, pick us your 1 to 11 now to start.
To be honest, it's probably the 11 that we saw as the best 11 at the end of last season at the moment.
Just what got me was the semi-final, Fred instead of Matic.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big fan of Matic. I love him, as Tony knows, and
really
Tony's a big fan of McTominay, and things are happening. So give us your 1 to 11 then.
I would say the 11 that we saw Luke Shaw at left back, though. I love Brandon Williams, but I think having a natural left footer there is, just a better situation to have. I start with De Gea, but we'll see how that develops with Henderson. I think it's a big call that he's made now, Solskjaer, to bring Henderson back. It's going to be interesting keeping those two. He wants the competition, but equally, it's difficult to keep 2 people happy when it's only one spot.
Well, we had one, didn't we? And you were Romero, who was quite happy about being on the bench.
Yeah.
When he come in for games and he never let us down.
Yeah.
I'd be gutted if he leaves. But it looks like he's going to leave because he's not going to be happy with 3rd choice.
They're in talks, for him to go somewhere, but nothing advanced at this moment.
But he's not wanted at the club. Well, I say he's not wanted. He's not needed at the club. We've got 2 goalkeepers. Yeah. That's it. Find somewhere. You've done well for us. Time's up. It comes to everyone. And
I won't say so much his time's up in that
Time's
way.
up here.
I won't say his time's up like...
Well, it is. We've just got Henderson.
Yeah, but I'm just saying... There was calls 4 or 5 games ago for him to be our number 1. So from going from virtually being our number 1 to getting kicked out of the club...
Playing against who, though?
Playing
against who?
When De Gea made the rick
Playing
at
against
Tottenham.
Copenhagen? Things like that?
I'm on about when David De Gea made the rick...
We're all allowed mistakes.
Against Tottenham. The screams was for him to start the next game.
Well, it's like we were just discussing, and Lottie knows. You just brought someone who potentially could be a top goalkeeper, young fella. We've brought him back in, right? The other fella's gone. He's not wanted, right? He's done a good service for us. We've all liked him. Yeah, we've all liked him.
I've
Done a
really
good
rate him.
job.
I think he's
I've
always
got nothing
always
bad
done
to
well.
say about him or anything like that. But time to move on. It's called thinning the squad and bringing others in. That's what we want, innit?
Of course, we want
Right, we want
competition for
progress.
places. But like you're saying, it's just left a bad taste how suddenly, from 8 or 9 weeks ago, he could have been our number one to not being at the club. But that's my opinion. You know,
Well, that is your opinion.
it's my opinion. And I think whoever gets him, I've got a world-class goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he was disappointed at missing out in the FA Cup semi-final and the
Correct,
Europa
yes.
League semi-final,
Correct.
but that's the call that Solskjaer's made, and that's where I would say you still can judge Solskjaer even as it is with this squad right now.
Yeah.
I would say that the move that Chelsea have made in the transfer market, the fact that City and Liverpool have got established squads that have known what it is to win the Premier League, I think that gives you context for where United need to be next season. But at the same time, if they manage to make a couple more signings, as you say, I think then it actually flips it and says, okay, go and prove yourself, Ollie, and let's see where you can go.
Well, he's there for a few seasons, and he has to have the help by purchasing players each season.
Yeah.
One player.
Yeah,
is not
if it ends at Van der Beek, it's an underwhelming transfer window.
Yeah.
But they are working on deals. They're obviously working on the Sancho thing. It's going to take a lot of time because it's such a big transfer.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, I do believe they will still sign players.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if they don't get Sancho, obviously there'll be plan B, C,
They
and
have,
D there.
they've
You
got
know,
options.
who are those players? I've seen that Kingsley Coleman mentioned from Munich. Hell of a lot of money for Sancho. Me and Tony spoke about him. Is he that good? What I've seen of him, he looks decent. It would improve our squad in that position on the right hand side, but let's not banter this club. We've had some great players. We've let great players go. We've brought great players. Now, for me, if we don't get him, they've got to be a plan B, and it's got to be done within by weekend, middle of next week, latest.
Do you rate him?
I do. I think. Well, listen. I say I'll look at the stats. It's an easy thing to do, isn't it? But the chance that he creates, the goals he scores, that's what United have looked at and said. He's almost a guarantee of a certain amount of goals per season. I know it's a different league coming from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, but the numbers that he has in the Champions League are kind of similar, in terms of his productivity. So that's what they're looking at. I think it's a guarantee. He obviously didn't play that great for England, did he? It is a big move for him. I don't think it's a set thing that he's going to set the world alight at Old Trafford. So that's why they're debating it. That's why they're looking at trying to negotiate down. I think he just adds a lot to United. He can play anywhere across the front three. He gives options. You could even play all four. If you're really going for it. Back in the day when you had Tevez, Ronaldo, Rooney, Berbatov. Yeah. Fergie did play that occasionally. When he was 5-2 against Tottenham, that's what turned the game. And there are some people that think you could play Sancho, Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood all at once, which would be a pretty awesome sight. It would be.
But that's 2-0 down at home first.
Put it this way, if that was the case, you'd want to get out your house in the morning and get down to Old Trafford.
Exactly. You'd be walking to the ground with a quick step.
Yeah, because you'd want to see that you want to be entertained.
Yeah. That's what Solskjaer is aiming for. He knows the realities of the transfer market. Coronavirus has had an impact on United's finances. You can't get away from that, albeit they are more incubated. The fact that they've got such big commercial deals does put them in a better position than a lot of other clubs. But Solskjaer's not blind to that.
Solskjaer knows the realities of this transfer market. If we're struggling to get one or two players, why are we struggling to not get players out?
It's the perennial sort of dilemma with Manchester United. Wages is a big thing. So you've got players that are on, 6-figure per week sums, and not that many clubs can afford that, particularly in this climate. So Chris Smalling's one that he could go. He's in talks with Roma. I would imagine that actually happens, although United insist that he's had a good season at Roma and they would be happy to have him. I think, ultimately that would be a good sale. But again, it's the transfer fee. Roma, and originally I think United wanted about 20 million. Roma are looking at a lot less than that. So it's, again, negotiation.
Well, they're in a winning position with that, aren't they? Yeah, but let's, you know, we can see that developing, and it was over there. But we're talking about, I mean, a lot of people out there. I mean, I love Phil Jones. I've always loved him. I think he's been treated badly here since day one.
He's been unlucky with injuries.
Well, he's been played in every position.
Yeah.
He's a centre half. He came here, right, and he's never had a run at centre half. And I blame everyone who's managed him. All right. So I feel sorry for the fella. He's been a scapegoat for everyone. But he should be on his way. Should be sold out. Now, there's lots of other...
There's chance of Newcastle could have put a bid in yet.
No, but I'm giving you an example with Phil Jones, right?
Not good enough.
He's not a squad player or anything. He's always injured, supposedly injured, right? Now, people like him, why haven't they been moved out?
To be honest, he's just had an operation, Phil Jones. That's why they
Yeah, but no one's surprised at that. That was always going to happen. It's Phil Jones you're talking about.
The issue with it is, it just goes back to wages. It's finding a club that will... The player's not going to say, okay, I'll take a pay cut, really. You know, he's signed a contract, his career's short. I don't have any problems with that. But to then sell him, you've got to find a club that will either match that wage, or you have to pay, like Sanchez, you know, United paid him to go to Inter. It was a free transfer in the end. So you've got to try and find a way of either getting a small transfer fee and then giving the player a little bit of a golden goodbye to match up to the wages, because that's the issue, really. I mean, then you go back to, well, should you really award certain contracts at certain moments that then lock these players in? United do that to retain transfer value, but when it comes to these situations, when you think, actually, let's get them out the door, it's very difficult to then find clubs that are able to pay those wages.
You're basically saying we're stuck with what we've got through our stupidity, right, as a club, right, giving them all these high wages and long contracts, because, you know, when you look at it, and unfortunately I've got to use Phil Jones again, and I seem to use Phil Jones as the scapegoat every time, and I like the fella. But not long ago, they gave him a 5-year contract. So how stupid was that, to keep a player who really we should be getting rid of, to bring more finances in, to develop the squad? One after another, people have been given contracts. I'm baffled. Absolutely stupid the way it's run. I don't know your point of view on it. I know a lot of people's point of view out there on it, and I know what's incoming.
Right, we're going to leave that a bit alone, because Phil Jones will absolutely be devastated now. Well, there you go. The future. Which current player at Old Trafford do you think will steal the headlines next year?
Yeah.
And surprise a lot of people on the pitch?
Yeah.
You know, we spoke about before how impressed we was with Greenwood. He went away a boy and come back a man.
Yeah.
And obviously this bit of controversy from last week should be forgotten about now and let him football. And we spoke about the number 11 shirt he's got, which is big pressure anyway. Yeah. So for me, I'm going for Greenwood.
I love Greenwood. I noticed that was one of the questions that I asked Ollie in the press conference after lockdown resumed. I sort of said, "Oh, is he put on a bit of muscle?" Because you could just see that he developed in that couple of months period. Apparently, it was a natural thing. It wasn't like he was on any particular gym regime. But yeah, Solskjaer properly went for it and said it'll help him hold off defenders. And I agree with you. I think he's a special talent, and hopefully he keeps going the way he is. And next season, as you say, this coming season is one where we can see him. I mean, he scored 10 Premier League goals, in no time, really. You're hoping that he can get that and improve on it for this season if he's given more of a run in the team. I don't know if would that be a surprise though now? Greenwood doing well. Maybe that's a bit too much pressure to place on a lad who's only 18, but you kind of it's already got to that stage where you're thinking there's some expectancy around him.
He was looking at Greenwood last year and was expecting him to score.
Yeah.
That's how pleased, not just me and Tony and the people out there, every United fan, we expect him to score every game. Now, is that putting extra pressure on him? Because the kid's dynamite, and I just think he'll have his bad points, he'll have his dry runs, but I just think at the moment, because he can go either way. You've not got that many players who can do that, go left, go right. I know Tony could in his day. In the early 80s, he'd go left and right, the cat. But he was probably one of the only ones. But and I think the 11, I don't think that bothering, because me and Tony spoke before about, remember, Valencia getting a number 7 shirt and couldn't handle the pressure of being at number 7. Yeah. I just think Mason will take it in his stride.
100%, yeah.
As a centre forward. Because that's what he is.
Well, that is, I spoke to Clayton Blackmore about this, and he said that because he coached him at United when he was sort of 11, 12, and he said that's where I see him, that's where he wants to be. I think that's where he will end up. At the moment, I think he's very useful for him to be on the right wing. It makes sense. As you say, he can cut in. That position when he gets the ball just outside the box, you are expecting him to score. You're expecting him to do some skill maybe, or bend it, or just
I even think some of the times last year, me personally was a bit harsh when he didn't score, and I'm thinking, hang on, he's a kid at 18. And that's how good, because I've seen him through the youth. And then obviously me and Tony spoke, and I said about Greenwood coming back. I said, I've seen pictures of him. He said, he looks a different player. He's beefed up, and that'll only help his game, which it has done.
What's the feeling when you're in these press conferences talking to Solskjaer and all that on Pogba? Because I don't want Pogba sat at the back. I want Pogba going through. But with all these midfield players and that, what's the feeling around inside Old Trafford about Pogba taking the role and taking and leading us on? Because that's what we've been waiting for.
You look at, what stands out for me with Pogba is the World Cup, Kante sat behind him.
But that's gone.
Yeah, but he sat behind him. So Paul was more forward. He didn't have to worry about that defensive, come to pick the ball up off the centre half.
That's the French.
But this is now, so he's coming back and taking it off the centre half when Matic can do that, or Fred. I want him behind Martial.
Well, we know that, but that's what I'm saying is he going to unleash this year?
I think that there has been irritation. You look at last season when he was out, it was the lack of game time. There's frustrations there, certainly. I think now that Bruno's come in and has taken such a leading role, I don't think the onus is as much on Pogba anymore to make things happen, and I think that in a way suits him, because he can. The focus isn't all on him. I mean, there's times when you're not even, the focus has been so much on Bruno that it's difficult to think about anybody else. But I think that actually he doesn't necessarily need to play that same role for France. I agree with you. I think ideally you've got Matic there, and he's your insurance policy. He's the guy that can go get the ball off the back free. That allows Pogba to get a bit more forward. I think we saw that in a couple of the Europa League games, that he was able to do that. I don't know if he'll ever be the player that runs a game. It's been 3 years now and 4 years, and we haven't actually seen him grasp a game by the scruff of its neck and do that kind of thing.
What it is with him, because it's frustrating, I want to see him like what he did in the second half against City when we was 2-0 down. That's what I want to see. Because he's got it in him. It's just frustrating, especially last year, in and out, in and out, in and out. I want to see that this year from him, because I think it, just to watch it as a football fan, especially a Manchester United fan, I think it's brilliant to watch.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see.
The way Pogba can pass a ball is incredible. You look at that one to Rashford against Spurs, the one against Chelsea, first game of the season last season. And the way
left, right, it just goes.
The way that he carries the ball, he can do everything. But I just wonder if actually, in reality, at United, having a bit more of a sort of not as much pressure on him to do everything, because too many times he's been the guy that has to do everything. He had like most tackles, most assists, basically defensive and offensive statistics. He was number one for a load of them previously.
Well,
simple. Let's go to Chelsea and buy Kante. And all
there
all
are
that
rumours.
will be done. He's up for sale.
We don't do rumours.
He's up for sale.
Stop the rumours.
It's not rumours. It's common knowledge. You don't have to know rumours. He's up for sale. He's not in the team.
What else have we got there?
Last one now. We got. Where do you expect us to finish next season?
I think they will get top four. The Chelsea thing will be interesting to see how they all gel. I think there is scrutiny now.
Chelsea, it could go that way or that way, couldn't it? We've seen it before when you got 5 or 6 new players in. They're all class players, but can they gel?
That's up to Frank Lampard now, isn't it? So there'll be expectation on him. I think you look at the way that, as I say, Liverpool and Man City have just got that pedigree about them. So I'd love to say that United can go and challenge that. It depends on who they sign, but I think top four is another. It's got to be the ambition, plus with a good run in the Champions League and maybe a trophy. And I think
we need a pot, don't we? We need a pot.
Need a pot. You want to see improvements. You want to see players getting better. And I think with that front three, the young front three, you've got scope there.
If this season, going forward, got a challenge, got to improve, but we're seeing them all flat out, the legs gone. So this Carabao Cup, this FA Cup, I'm saying right here and now, right, because you've told me, right? It's probably out there anyway, and I've not heard it. That he knows this squad's not big enough. So anyone out there, I don't care. The squad's not good enough. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, a different 11. You've got to forget these 2 cups based on facts. Because the facts are we haven't got the squad. So let's go have a go in the league and have a good run in the Champions League. But the other 2 cups, squad's not good enough. So put the kids in and everyone else, forget them. That's my opinion. But how can we compete on all 4 with this squad? When we've only basically got 11, now 12 top players.
I think that if you want to progress in the cup, I do think United have got enough of a squad to change it up and still beat a lot of the teams that will be in those cups. So as we saw last season, they managed to get to the semi-finals in both, and ultimately it was just a bridge too far at that point. I agree with you. I think he will rotate it. He will do, apart from maybe Harry Maguire, who just seems to want to play every single game. So, but yeah, he will definitely rotate.
Well, Harry Maguire will have nothing else to do but play football, which is not a bad thing,
told
is it?
him.
We've told him anyway. We've told him where to go camping next year. Now, we've got more coming up. Another interview.
We've got something lined up next week. Very good interview. Great lad. You'll enjoy it, yeah?
Yeah, this weekend. Start of the...
Premiership.
Yeah, Premiership's here. We'll be all right. And I've got to thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Laurie, from the Athletic.
From the Athletic, right. You better put a word in for us. And don't be sacking him. He's our mate. If you sack him...
You deal with us.
The boys will be round. Laurie, thanks for
very much, guys.
Can you please subscribe, press the likes, and you know the score. If you don't like it, press the dislike button.
Have a good day.
Subscribe to the Webby O'Neill channel here. Watch more videos here.